provided for the maintenance of their effort.
On ABC Amba News, Ground Zero is warned French Cameroon soldiers are recruiting girls for spies all over Ambazonia. Ambazonians called upon to stand up and financially support the refugees in Nigeria. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces pose a danger to the population on Ground Zero. United States President Joe Biden shifts blame over Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. These stories and more in this edition of ABC Amba News.
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
Good day. I'm Cynthia Williams with ABC Amba News. Yesterday, Tuesday, August 17th at exactly 7:30 a.m. Ambazonia time, Bully warriors launched a precision attack on the colonial prison at Milov, killing one Cameroonian French invading soldier and sending 3 others with life-threatening gunshot wounds to the hospital. Our reporter Nellie Fortune brings the story.
What happened? They done already, they enter my target. Small. We can show them. Meet them. Wow. Do. Here.
Yesterday, Tuesday, 17 August 2021 at exactly 7:30 a.m. Amba, the Bully warriors launched a precision attack on the colonial prison at Milov, killing Rwanda Republic terrorist soldier and sending 3 others with life-threatening gunshot wounds to the hospital. Later at 9:45 a.m., the Bully warriors yet again launched another powerful attack at water tank housing some La Republic terrorists in Kumbo, inflicting serious casualties on them. La Republic du Cameroon terrorist backup convoy of 3 armored cars quickly responded to the scene, dropping some of their terrorist elements in strategic locations around Kumbo town. Gunshots were heard coming from Tanver, where the lifeless bodies of 2 civilians gunned down by the unknown gunmen at exactly 11:55 a.m. Amba is under investigation. At the moment of this report, confirmed sources have identified the dead bodies as those of 2 ADF fighters. The market that was open despite heavy shooting all closed down, with everybody running for their dear life. The reason perpetrators of this situation is still under investigation. We will be returning to these stories subsequently. Nelly Fortune on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
It has come to the attention of ABC News that French Cameroon invading forces in Ambazonia have resorted to the practice of recruiting girls as spies. The girls are used to act as informants to the soldiers. The information is then used to go hunting for Ambazonian restoration forces and Ambazonians who support the struggle for independence. Poverty and threats of brutality are the driving force behind the recruitment of these girls. Robert Bate now reports. It has come to the attention of ABC News that French Cameroon invading forces in Ambazonia have resorted to the practice of recruiting girls as spies. The girls are used to act as informants to the soldiers. The information is then used to go hunting for Ambazonian restoration forces and Ambazonians who support the struggle for independence. Poverty and threats of brutality are the driving force behind the recruitment of these girls. Robert Bate now reports.
The French Cameroon military on assignment in Ambazonia is now taking advantage of vulnerability, victimizing girls that have been plagued by the economic challenges of the ongoing genocide in Ambazonia by recruiting them as spies on their own people.
Yeah, you wait to be your name. Wait to be your own. Who's on an ID card in there? Okay. You come up outside. Come. You come outside. When I do now waiting.
For me, I didn't tell her, but for now, so I need to work now because my machine is born.
Okay. Who say when I come on also?
Come for house, for town.
For town. They go outside. They look for you. For Saturday. For go do out. They look for you. Oh, no, they look for you. Military. Me they do what? Okay, for go sleep with them for game money. So now the work one I don't decide for they do for go sleep military for game money. Una this one I know find work they do am. Okay.
Two girls whose names we got as Rafaela and Lovette were taken into custody by restoration forces. The girls confessed to have been having sexual affairs with French Cameroon military in exchange for money. Talking to one of the restoration forces, he said they have given constant warning to young girls and women living in southern Cameroon to refrain from dating or having any kind of affairs with the French Cameroon army, despite the hardship faced in Ambazonia due to the ongoing war. He went further to say that the military comes with a concealed intention, pretending to establish relationships, but their real objectives is well known. Experience has it that they are looking and recruiting spies to infiltrate the community and fish out restoration forces or supporters of the revolution. The restoration force added that a lot of his fellow fighters have been killed by the military, in which they use girls living around them as spies, which the girls give details of their locations to be captured and killed. He stated that they, however, do not control people's love affairs, but they can't accept the fact that girls who date their enemies should be with them in the same area. So he therefore advises that if any lady must date a military man, it should be out of the war zone, or they will be treated same as enemies. Robert Bate on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
The Department of Health and Social Services of the interim government of Ambazonia is appealing to people of goodwill to raise funds to help the suffering refugees in Nigeria. The department says refugees are dying daily in Nigeria owing to neglect and total lack of regular feeding. Robert Bate brings us the story.
The Secretary of State for Health and Social Services, HSS, Dr. Emmanuel Tita, is calling on the people of goodwill to support a fund drive that would help to relieve the refugees from the impending hardship they find themselves in at this time in Nigeria. He said following the recent distress situation affecting refugees in Nigeria with manipulated attempts of forceful deportation and the increased cries for food from the refugees that is partially related to the reduced assistance from the UNHCR. The refugees in Nigeria are highly counting on people of goodwill for a rescue support. There is an urgent need for all and sundry to come up with an established budget of about $10,000 for the HSS to address this current emergency refugee protection and relief in Nigeria in the shortest time possible, he added. This drive hopes to get at least 100 persons of goodwill who can quickly offer to donate about $100 each to undertake this emergency mission. However, nothing, as they say, is too small to give as it is or will go a long way to salvage this deplorable situation. Earlier this week, an elderly person was seen in a video in which he had committed suicide by hanging.
No CBI,
The reasons behind this, as we were told, is that he preferred to die than to live in perpetual hunger. Similarly, the refugees in Abokim Waterfall were invited by the village heads and other government officials.
CBI is not being paid.
In that meeting,
Nigerians are just
they were
using us.
informed
They are
that
using our monies to
the
buy
Cameroon
luxurious
government
cars for themselves,
official,
big houses for
the
themselves.
divisional officer for Eyumojok, had told them that the war was over and refugees should return. In case they refuse to return, they would be forced out of their community and sent to the Cameroons by force. This is a trending information that has further dampened hopes of refugees as they now live in perpetual fear and frustration. Meanwhile, leaders of various camps have vowed to pen a memo to the UNHCR and other related organizations. As we look forward to give updates on this information, payment details on the fund drive are displayed on the screen. Robert Bate on Prime Report with ABC Amba News.
Contrary to the allegation suggesting that the Ambazonian Restoration Forces represent a danger to the communities they operate from, defending Ambazonia on a daily basis, Mike Fusey reports that the overwhelming Ambazonian public now believe that those posing a danger to the population are a few rogues and those paid by Cameroon soldiers who are constituting a danger to the communities. Mike?
Since the start of the war declared by Paul Biya Mbimvondo Bartholomew, President for life in La République du Cameroon against the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, there has been a consistent effort on the part of La République du Cameroon to tarnish the image of our restoration fighters. Contrary to the image painted by La République du Cameroon's hired PR firms and enablers, and French Cameroon's sponsored media, the Ambazonian restoration fighters represent no danger to their population in their daily campaign of defending homeland. They have used several dirty tricks to give credence to this falsehood by doing some of the following. They formed groups of fake Amba boys, popularly known as Atanganji boys, named after the crooked Minister of Territorial Administration, known for such dirty tricks to commit atrocities which are then blamed on our restoration fighters. Some of these atrocities include the murder of school children in Kumba, Meme County, the murder of Miss Ayafo in Bamenda, the molestation of students and teachers in Victoria, the extortion of money from our innocent civilians, to name but these few. They have hired lawyers and PR firms to tarnish the image of our restoration fighters in the diaspora at embassies, parliaments, and at the United States Congress without success. The Biya regime and its supporters often have used these dirty tricks in order to portray our fighters as terrorizing our people in order to turn our people against our struggle. Needless to say that they have failed woefully in this effort, because public opinion polls indicate that more than 90% of Ambazonians are in support of the total restoration of the independence of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. The simple question of common sense is this: there are thousands of La République du Cameroon citizens who live in Ambazonia. Why is it that our Ambazonia restoration fighters do not attack them in retaliation even after the abuses of the La République du Cameroon terrorist forces, including rape, genocide, the burning of whole villages, destruction of crops, extortion, murder, and the torture against our people? The genuine Ambazonia restoration fighters have been trained to know that targeting civilians isn't beneficial to the cause, and it is counter-revolutionary. On the contrary, they are defenders and protectors of the people. Most of the atrocities in Ambazonia can be attributed to La République du Cameroon terrorist soldiers, the Atangaji boys, or the Fulani vigilantes who are targeting our civilians in order to turn them against our struggle. The interim government of Ambazonia, through the Amba peace plan, has put in place codes of conduct to guide our restoration fighters on how to conduct themselves in their interactions with our people, thus exemplifying professionalism in the performance of their duties in the restoration of our homeland. Mike Fusey on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
And now on to international news. United States President Joe Biden is trying to shift responsibility for the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, but analysts say he is wrong. President Biden said in an address to the nation on Monday that he was bound by the Trump administration's agreement with the Taliban to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan. Nellie Fortune follows up on this story.
First, the Taliban never observed the terms of that agreement, including that they would break ties with Al-Qaeda. According to a UN report released earlier this year, they didn't. Second, the agreement said that the Taliban would enter genuine peace negotiations with the Afghan government. That didn't happen. Third, the US Taliban agreement was negotiated without any input from the Afghan government, which after all was the elected government of the country. Conveniently for the Taliban, they don't believe in elections. So the Biden administration felt bound to an agreement made by the previous administration with an insurgent group that had concluded the actual government of Afghanistan. But not long prior, the Trump administration jettisoned the 2015 Iranian nuclear agreement, which was negotiated by the Obama administration with the sovereign state and with some of the United States' closest allies, the British, French, and Germans. That agreement was actually being adhered to by the Iranians according to the American intelligence community. That didn't stop Trump from abandoning the Iranian nuclear agreement in 2018, which he often described as a terrible deal, even though it was actually working. Now the Biden administration is saying it had to adhere to Trump's genuinely terrible deal with the Taliban, even though it wasn't working at all. What the administration has done in Afghanistan doesn't make much sense. Biden could have easily said the Taliban had reneged on the agreement with the United States, so he could continue to keep a relatively small US military force in Afghanistan to advise and assist the Afghan army and to support the Afghan Air Force to thwart Taliban advances. But Biden also believes in the merits of leaving Afghanistan regardless of Trump's agreement with the Taliban. He argues that the US can't be mired in endless wars, even though the American presence in Afghanistan has shrunk to only 2,500 troops, particularly few for a force of 1.3 million active duty US service personnel. That small force helped to sustain the Afghan military physically and psychologically, not least with close air support. Now the Biden administration unilaterally has pulled the plug on the US troop presence in Afghanistan, which created morale among the Afghan military and population. It is also precipitated that thousands of Western allied soldiers to head to the exit, as well as the many thousands of contractors of Afghanistan that were, among other things, keeping the Afghan Air Force alive. And now the white flags of the Taliban fluttered all over Afghanistan. It did not need to be this way. Observers say that La République du Cameroon should learn from US withdrawal and stop the senseless war in Amazonia. But according to ABC Amba News, analysis and opinion vis-a-vis the genocidal onslaught in southern Cameroon, there are lessons to be learned from both sides of the coin.
We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force. We provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future.
The bottom line is you cannot win against determined people in their backyard. We are hoping that the sour outcome of the 20-year-long US-Afghan war will spike lessons to the La République du Cameroon government. That is if and only if the Boulou Beti cabal in Yaoundé will listen to wise counsel this time around and meet with Ambazonia at the negotiation tables in Switzerland. Honorable Weber Joseph told them 5 years ago that a time will come when even if you join forces with the French army, you will still be unable to stop us. We're not ignorant of French intelligence support to the Cameroon military during this war. Cameroon has also borrowed Zakawas from Chad, Sangus from Bangui to combine with the bees, but yet the Ambazonian restoration forces are beating them in their own game on the field. They have the mastery of the terrain. They have the spirit of the land, the love and support of the people. Now, something really important. These men and women who are bearing the flag today as Ambazonian Restoration Forces started with peace plans, with sticks, and we can all testify and observe that they are getting better by the day. They are now producing their own weapons, sophisticated weapons. And there is another side of the twist, which I believe it's a take for Amazonia. The runaway president of Afghanistan, Professor Ashraf Ghani, has just proven to the world that he was the wrong person for the job. Now, who was he? A tourist and the writer of a book, How to Fix a Failed State. I guess most probably that is what earned him the office. You see, there is a difference between theory and work. To materialize theory is another ball game. Look at Amazonia today. In spite of the challenges that we are aware of, we have attained tremendous victories. Why? A technician by some miracle took over office in 2018 when Sisiko and co were kidnapped. Many in retrospect now wish to say thank you, Lord. Yes, of course. what a lot of people do not know is that Dr. Common Sense served under UN projects in Cameroon and the Central African Republic for a while. As a field worker, he had a mastery of the mentality of the farmers, the Bulu, the Beti. He understood the dynamics, and until today has proven it, that he understands the dynamics of the Franco-Bulu Beti mafia. And this was just the right time for his manifestation. Look at the Amba peace plan and it's unfolding. Nothing could be so appropriate at this time. The president, Dr. Sako, is not just some young guy who got excited about the idea of a free Amazonia, takes some college courses on revolutions and armed struggles, and comes back with a PhD, knowing everything about what happened elsewhere, but void of what is specifically required to free Amazonia. I think that's one of the problems we faced. Take note of this. I understand some loopholes that could arise with Biden's rationale to finally withdraw US troops from Afghanistan. But here is the deal. President Joe Biden is insisting that it is bad business, bad investment for the US taxpayers to continue funding an expensive war for a people who are not even willing to fight. He stated the leadership was unable, perhaps unwilling, to mobilize the political will for healthy and effective executions. What has the US not done for Afghanistan? America has an investment that is worth more than $4 trillion US. America cannot make such an investment and abandon or leave. But Biden believes that it is better to narrow the loss by at least saving some of the remaining cash, and most necessarily saving the lives of US forces.
As the situation on the ground in Afghanistan's capital continues to deteriorate, thousands of US citizens are trapped in and around Kabul with no ability to get to the airport, which is their only way out of the country. As Taliban soldiers go door to door searching for Westerners, these US citizens are now reaching out to anyone and everyone back in Washington for help. The Biden administration must get moving on a plan to rescue them before it's too late. As of this morning, the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul is open and 3,500 troops are on the ground. Military flights are departing from HKIA with American citizens and US Embassy personnel. Yesterday, we evacuated 700 people, including 150 American citizens. White House updated yesterday. Nelly Fortu on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
Nigeria and Angola have sealed diplomatic relations. The Nigerian ambassador to Angola, Professor Monique Epong, during the event, promised to foster better bilateral relations with the Republic of Angola. Our correspondent from Nigeria, Eunice Momo, reports.
The Nigerian ambassador to Angola, Professor Monique Epong, has promised to foster better bilateral relations with the Republic of Angola. Epong stated this at a recent meeting with the Angolan president, João Manuel Gonçalves Lorenzo, after presenting her accreditation at the presidential villa in Luanda. As Nigeria is the largest oil-producing country in sub-Saharan Africa, she is closely followed by Angola as the second largest oil-producing country in sub-Saharan Africa. Epong stressed the importance of cooperation and understanding between both countries. She was received with a full guard of honor by President Gonçalves Lorenzo for the occasion of presentation of letters of credence. The diplomat thanked the Angolan president for audience despite his tight schedule and COVID-19 restrictions. She requested stronger ties to foster commerce and cultural exchange between both countries. She established the need to restore direct flights between Nigeria and Angola instead of flying through Ethiopia. In a bid to boost trade and tourism, she appealed for quicker documentation for Nigerians in Angola, as well as better treatment of Nigerian residents. The meeting was adjudged as productive as President Lorenzo granted all requests of Ambassador Ekpong. He promised to restore direct flights immediately, promising a better relationship between Nigeria and Angola. Eunice Momo on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News. The Nigerian ambassador to Angola, Professor Monique Ekpong, has promised to foster better bilateral relations with the Republic of Angola. Ekpong stated this at a recent meeting with the Angolan President, João Manuel Gonçalves Lorenzo, after presenting her accreditation at the presidential villa in Luanda.
And now, on to business news. Crypto market tops $2 trillion for the first time in nearly 3 months with a rally for Bitcoin. Our business analyst, Dr. Ngwambe, gives us an update.
Bitcoin topped $48,000 over the weekend, its highest level since mid-May, but pared some of the gains on Monday. On Saturday, the digital coin hit $48,126.47, its highest level since May 17th, according to CoinDesk data. Around 2:49 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on Monday, Bitcoin was trading at $47,442.40. The Bitcoin recovery comes after it sold off heavily in June and July, even dropping below $30,000 following a record high of over $64,000 in April. I do believe this Bitcoin's rise is the result of massive accumulation. When Bitcoin was trading around $29,000 to $30,000 according to Vijay Ayar, head of business development at cryptocurrency exchange Luno. Bitcoin's rise helped push the value of the entire cryptocurrency market above $2 trillion on Saturday for the first time since mid-May, according to data from CoinMarketCap, which tracks the prices of digital coins. The crypto market has faced a number of headwinds over the summer. One of the biggest was the renewed regulatory scrutiny on the industry from authorities in China, which has forced Bitcoin mining operations to shut down and move elsewhere. That was one of the biggest reasons for Bitcoin dropping below the $30,000 level. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate passed a massive infrastructure bill last week without any of the proposed amendments on crypto tax reporting that had delayed its passage. That was seen as a blow for the crypto community, but some said it showed the U.S. government was taking the industry seriously. These fundamental regulatory roadblocks have clipped the market's wings in the near term, said Jahan Chu, founder of cryptocurrency-focused venture capital and trading firm Kinetic Capital. He said that while Bitcoin may surge to $55,000, investors should expect a significant pullback to sub-$30,000 levels, resetting the stage for a long, steady march to $100,000 in 2022. More negative news came this month after hackers stole $600 million in one of the biggest cryptocurrency heists in history. But in a bizarre turn of events, the hackers eventually returned nearly all of the stolen money. That didn't seem to faze the Bitcoin bulls. Luno's Ayar said that Bitcoin is approaching the resistance levels between $48,000 and $50,000. I wouldn't expect Bitcoin to run through in one shot, Ayar said, adding that if it does break that level of support, then the digital coin is definitely looking to go back to all-time highs. Dr. Gwambe on Prime Reports with ABC Amba News.
In sports news, Naomi Osaka, Japan's Olympic torchlighter, stops a press conference in tears after a heated exchange with reporters. In a related story, tennis star Stefanos Tsitsipas has refused to take the COVID-19 vaccine. The athlete says unless it becomes mandatory on tour, he will not get the vaccine. Our reporter for Sports, Silver Bright, has the story.
It was India vs England in cricketing. What a cracking finish to this outstanding test match. Both teams fought tooth and nail, and towards the end, it's India that prevailed. England was certainly deeply disappointed with their batting. They had 60 overs to negotiate, but the top batsman flopped miserably. Credit to Josh Buttler, though, who batted against his natural instinct and consumed 96 balls during his stay. He was involved in a couple of stunts with Moeen Ali and Ollie Robinson to keep England in the hunt, but India managed to find a way to break those partnerships and register a big win. That was some test match, Team India. Enjoyed watching every moment of it. The resilience and grit that the team displayed in difficult situations is something that stood out for me. Very well played, Tendulkar tweeted. In tennis, Naomi Osaka pauses press conference in tears after exchange with reporter. Naomi Osaka, preparing to compete in her first tennis tournament since the Tokyo Olympics, briefly took a break during a pre-tournament news conference on Monday after she started crying. The Western and Southern Open news conference in Mason, Ohio, began with Osaka answering questions regarding mental health and doing press conferences. She sparked a widespread conversation about earlier this year when she withdrew from the French Open because she didn't want to participate in news conferences, citing her mental health. Following those questions, Osaka was in the midst of being asked about preparations for summer hardcourt portion of the season and her reaction to what is going on in Haiti following a devastating earthquake. Osaka's father is a Haiti native, and the tennis superstar said in a tweet Saturday she would give prize money she earns at the Western and Southern Open to Haiti relief efforts. It was during that portion of the session that Osaka began to wipe her face and put her hat down over her eyes. A reporter said, "Sorry," as Osaka got emotional, to which Osaka replied, "No, you are super good." With Osaka crying, the moderator said they would have a quick break. After a few minutes, Osaka returned to finish the session. She apologized for walking out. More on tennis. Stefanos Tsitsipas refuses to take vaccine unless it becomes mandatory on tour. World number 3 Stefanos Tsitsipas said he would only get the COVID-19 vaccine if it became mandatory to compete in tennis. While the men's ATP Tour has publicly encouraged players to get vaccinated, the 23-year-old Greek is among those who still have reservations. "No one has told me anything. No one has made it a mandatory thing to be vaccinated," he told reporters when asked if he would seek a vaccine while competing in the US. More on tennis. Roger Federer will miss US Open after announcing further knee surgery. Tennis great Roger Federer will miss the US Open later this month and possibly the rest of the season after announcing that he needs another knee surgery which would sideline him for many months. Federer, who is tied with Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic on 20 career Grand Slam, was no committal about his future in tennis. Federer missed more than a year of action after having 2 operations on his knee after the Australian Open in 2020. He returned for the 2021 French Open but withdrew after his third-round win to protect his knee. Federer then lost in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon in June. After his Wimbledon loss, he withdrew from the Tokyo Olympics after announcing an injury setback with his knee. Silver Bright with Prime Report, ABC Amba News.
Don't you hate it when that happens to you? When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the news we have for you today. If you're tuning in from Boya, Victoria, Kumba, Baminda, Kumbo, Mamfe, Mundimba, Bangam, Bali, or Minji, on behalf of all of us here at ABC Amba News, I wish you all the best. I'm Cynthia Williams. Stay safe and stay glued to ABC Amba TV.